Welcome to this week's edition of All Around the Town. I'm Lynda Kay, your host, and I'm happy to welcome this week in the second half of the show, Brenda Whitehead, who is the CEO of the Port Hope and District Chamber of Commerce. But starting off the show today is Newman, and Ann is the Executive Director of Transition House. So I'm really pleased to be able to welcome Ann to the show, and it's great to see you.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lynda.
Well, it's nice to have you here, and I mean, we actually worked together for a little while at Community Care Northumberland before you came to Transition House. So when did you start? I think you started in January or February, was it?
Yeah, in the beginning of February. So it was quite the start.
So you started, and then by the middle of March, COVID-19 had happened. So let's talk a little bit about that. What's it been like since COVID-19?
Well, the interesting thing is I started to realize that I might not know what it was like before COVID because I was just learning Transition House. So I don't have a lot to compare it to. But I do notice a difference just in general service provision in the area because there aren't many service providers able to get out right now and provide service to the clients that we are working with. So that's probably where I've noticed the biggest impact. But we've been lucky to have all the amenities that we've required throughout this process with amazing support from the county. So it actually has been quite seamless and great.
So, I mean, that was something, you know, all of a sudden you had to think about, because Transition House, and maybe we should talk a little bit about Transition House. You can house, what, about 16 people in there? You know, what is your occupancy in the Transition House?
Well, before we moved, we had occupancy of 24 people, and we have the capacity to take 30 in the new space. We've not been up to 30, but we have been up to our 24. And I would say it's been anywhere from 10 to 24 a night.
Right. So Transition House, of course, located on Chapel Street, and it's been there, how many years has it been there? A long time.
1999 would be when it
first
began.
So anyhow, and then, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you just couldn't keep everybody in the home because you couldn't social distance, right? It just wasn't safe for everybody. So all of a sudden, just overnight, you were able to move everybody to CCI. So maybe we should chat a little bit about how that all came about with support from the county and the province.
Well, definitely David Piccini was quite involved in making that happen, which we were really grateful for. He was quite supportive. He was on the phone right away looking to help us find a location where we could meet all the requirements. And the county jumped in too to provide resources, assistance to set it up, and to get everything over there from the other place. So it really was quick, but it was because of all of their support. So once we got all of that in place and the approvals of where we were going, it was pretty quick. Within 24 hours, we were able to start providing service. And I would say that the biggest challenge up front in that moment would be we were only operational overnight. So we had been a 24-hour shelter all along, and now it's a pandemic, and we're only able to offer shelter 12 hours of the day. And the rest of the community is really shut down during the day. So I think a lot of people felt really displaced in the beginning. So that's where we started to provide some day services, and then it essentially turned right back into a 24-hour center. So that's what we are now.
Yeah, so I think initially weren't you using Transition House as a bit of a drop-in, like the actual home for a little while? Were you doing that initially?
Initially, we set it up as a food distribution center. So we were getting meals cooked there, and we were bringing them over to the school, but we were providing lunch directly from the site. The county was providing bag lunches through a local business, and we were distributing it to anybody that needed a lunch, so they didn't have to be Transition House clients. The challenge became we could not necessarily manage the social distancing protocols even on the porch to get the food out. So we did move all food over to the school. And actually, during that process, food became quite a big thing, which the entire community got together on. And that did include the county and Food for All, and the Port Hope Community Health Center, and the Millstone Bakery. And these businesses and partners got together and started collaborating on the distribution of food, literally for all people instead of just specific clients. Even Salvation Army would contribute boxes of food, etc. So it actually created a whole food program, which is now including tons of players, even community care and local food for a local good, and all these other providers. And that has been, I think, one of the greatest successes in this move.
Yeah, and I talked to both Rob O'Neill and Sarah Tanner about that when they were on my show. And it's great to see the bringing together of a number of groups to do those food initiatives, because the better you collaborate, the more you can have an impact and support the community, right? So, I mean, that is wonderful that that has happened. So what's what have the challenges been being over at CCI, or have there been challenges, or has it been just, it's been and maybe some of the other partnerships? I think Greenwood's been involved with you as well at this point in time.
And I think that has been a blessing. There's so many blessings in all of this, actually. I think the challenges would be mostly from the client perspective, because they have been used to having access to a variety of services that would engage with us during the day. And they didn't have access to any of that, nor did they have anywhere to go. So I think there's something to be said for the general sad state of being isolated is affecting them the same way I guess any of us would be sort of stuck at home. And the idea of it more being a dormitory style of living, there's less privacy. So I think life as they knew it is completely different, and it's been an adjustment. I would say, though, that we're starting to normalize. I think many people are starting to accept the new norm and normalize, and we're making it work, and we're adding in activities that we normally wouldn't do to engage people and keep them active and happy. And the nice weather has helped too.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Like, when you think about it, if somebody left the shelter, there was nowhere to go to get a coffee, or there was nowhere you could sit. Especially in the early, the first, when you moved in March, we had a pretty wet and miserable April. So it wasn't very nice to be out there walking the street. And, when you're homeless and you've got nowhere to go, it makes it very difficult, right? So yeah, it would be challenging for sure. But it's great. It's great. Greenwood's done a lot of outreach, I guess, for you and helped out.
Oh, Greenwood has been amazing. When we first opened, they were the ones that started the day program. So they saw the need and they jumped in right away. They showed up and provided support when we didn't have the staffing. And we are still continuing to work to try and help move people to the next stage of housing or their housing journey together. So another blessing. This is a partnership that developed out of need in the beginning, and I think will actually stay with us as we move into the next stage. So they're amazing because they also have a lot of complementary supports that we don't necessarily have the ability to give everybody. So and they are able to provide a lot of support out of hours, evenings and weekends when people are in crisis and have immediate access and support. That's also really helpful when your regular service providers aren't necessarily available.
Yeah, they're great on the ground outreach, aren't they? They really are a very grassroots, and they've done amazing work in Port Hope. So it's great to see that they're over here in Cobourg doing work as well and supporting individuals, they're homeless. They need some, good supports right now and have some real challenges in their life. So it's great that you've been able to make that partnership happen.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great.
So when you see, so I guess there's a question though, and when you think about all this, you've got some great partnerships. This has all moved along, but what's the future going to be, do you think, Transition Health? I mean, things, what happens when the kids go back to school?
I know, this is on my mind. I think we're going to have to leave the school at some point because, people talk of a second wave, or will we be returning in the fall? Universities aren't, I've heard. So, but I think we have to plan that they are. So I think it would be smart to start planning our exit. What does that look like? It looks like right now researching how I can find a way to continue on with the social distancing protocols for the maximum number of people. I do agree that the actual house will not allow that for the same 24 people. Does it mean another location? Does it mean moving with less? It's something that I think is being discussed right now and not firmed as of yet.
Well, it's so hard because you don't know where the province is going. Nobody knows where this whole issue of our pandemic is going. It's really hard to plan a lot of things right now. There's no doubt about it. We're under a state of emergency until the end of June too. So we don't know when things will kind of change or open up or anything.
And I've heard that most likely the social distancing protocols will be in place for the remainder of the year. So I'm trying to plan for that. And if it isn't, then it's a bonus, but at least we're prepared. The other benefit of COVID is that we've been able to access some extra funding, which have allowed us to add some creative additions to our team. So we've recently got funded through the rural and remote funding, an out of hours outreach worker who's going to be able to be on the streets, kind of doing what Greenwood would be doing, but another support that's available evenings and weekends to people during this time. So that's really exciting. We've posted for that and we're recruiting. And we've also hired a full-time transitional housing worker, which is hopefully going to be able to work with all the providers and the clients in the house to try and get them to that next stage of housing, which I told you we're working with Greenwood on. So those are exciting things that have come out of this too, that we will take with us for the remainder of the fiscal year.
So you'll have those for the remainder until March 31st next year? So no, that is great that you've got that funding to be able to do that, because both of those positions are really important, and finding that transitional housing is so important, right?
Yes, it's very challenging. I think Northumberland County's already identified there's a bit of a housing crisis anyway, and to be able to support the clients through that is something we haven't already had a lot of time to do. So I'm really glad that we have that now.
Well, and it's been I mean, here we are, June. It's almost been 6 months since you've been there, and I don't imagine that when you first went there, you thought this was what going to happen. So as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you very much for being on the show and giving us an idea how things are going at Transition House.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and it was so good to see you.
Good to see you too, Anne. Please stay tuned for the second half of the show with Brenda Whitehead, the CEO of the Port Open Chamber District of Commerce. Welcome to the second half of All Around the Town. I'm really pleased to have with me Brenda Whitehead, the CEO of the Port Open District Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Brenda. Good to see you.
Hi, Lynda. Thanks for having me today.
Well, it's great to see you. It's been a few months, I think, since we've seen each other.
Yeah, I think the last time was just as everything was being blocked and you drove by me in your car while I was walking my dog.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyhow, but you have been busy at the Chamber. Lots going on. And I thought we could do a little catch up with what's happening at the Chamber and even at Service Ontario.
That's right. So as everybody can expect, the economy has been greatly impacted by COVID-19. That's no secret to anybody. You can see the different packages and grant programs being offered by the different levels of government, right from, the local governments who are deferring tax payments and helping people with water, and those types of bills that are payable to the municipality, right up to the federal wage subsidy grants. We've been really busy trying to keep the businesses astride of everything that's going on. The first couple of weeks were a bit of a overload of information because everybody was problem solving very quickly. Now we're sort of at a ramp up for people who are applying for the different grant programs and trying to understand what works best for them, or if they fall through some of the catches and don't qualify, who they can go to and where they can go. Now that we're starting to reopen, we're looking at what we can do to support the businesses locally, because everybody is at different phases in the reopening process. Not just the businesses, some are ready to go gung ho. They pivoted really quickly. They didn't really lose any stride with their businesses. And there are some who aren't ready to open yet because they're not, PPE ready. They don't have staff who have childcare. They don't have the resources available to them. And then we also have the consumers who we don't know what their confidence level is. So there's lots of different things going on, and the Chamber has been active in trying to provide sources and resources to all of the different players.
I'm sure the local businesses have really appreciated all the support the Chamber's been giving them, because, as you said, there's been a lot of different government programs come out, and it's been it's been a bit of a maze to figure out, can I, will I get this money? How does this all work? Who can help me? So having a resource like the Chamber to assist small business, I'm sure, is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, we would like to think that they're, and it's not just for our members that we're providing the service. We've been doing it for everybody in the community, because we really do want, economic prosperity for, in our case, Port Hope. But I do work closely with the other 3 chambers in Northumberland County as well. So the Trent Hills, Northumberland Central, and the Brighton Cramahee. And we also work closely with the Business Entrepreneurship Center and the CFDC offices. So, and the Northumberland Manufacturers Association as well. So there are a number of stakeholders that share information on a regular basis to try and have the businesses continue to thrive, so that they can, as I like to refer to it, and I've heard other people say too, we want to build back better. So we were doing business a certain way. Obviously, it's not always going to work to keep doing it that way. So how can we become better at what we're doing?
Well, it's been amazing to see a lot of businesses turn around on a somewhat, as we could say, on a dime, and get themselves, some online shopping happening, and websites set up and such, so that individuals could purchase from them, because you couldn't go into the store, right? Or restaurants doing takeout and all that sort of thing. And I think the community, hopefully, from what I've seen, the community has really tried to support those efforts.
Yeah, never before has it been clearer the importance of a virtual presence. The Chambers worked with Northumberland Tourism last summer to do some assessments of tourism-based businesses and what their virtual presence was like and how that could impact their business. And now businesses of all levels, whether you're the sole proprietor at home, whether you're a downtown retail store, or whether you're a professional service provider, there has never been a better demonstration of the importance of a virtual presence. We as the Chamber, we actually applied to the Cameco Relief Fund for not-for-profit organizations, and we're granted some dollars so that we can help to raise awareness of options that are available to small businesses who may not have pivoted quickly and been able to put an online store in place, to sort of start showcasing, some of the services that are available that may not just be about e-commerce and setting up that store. It might be about, the best way to use Google. We have one next, I think on the 15th, about Google. There's the Get in the Loop local application that helps people to, if I want to support local, I get the Get in the Loop app, and I'm exposed to businesses that have registered with them, from the local level. So there's lots of different dimensions to the virtual presence, and the Chamber, is working with the other chambers and the Business Entrepreneurship Center to provide that support. And we appreciate that Cameco supported it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was wonderful. Cameco put out that fund that was, open to a lot of charities and not-for-profits, and it's great you thought about applying to it for that purpose in order to help small business. And you're right, that virtual presence is, we're going to be doing so many things virtually now, or that that whole virtual presence is so important. And a lot of businesses, it was a bit of a new world for them. Even last week, I had Megan McDonald on from Habitat for Humanity, and they put their restore online. And she said, that was a vision that we had, never thought we'd end up getting it done. And here all of a sudden, because of the situation we're in, they're up and running. So, I mean, and I think people locally really want to support their local business. They want to support their local economy. So, it's so important if we can help and get that up and going.
Yeah, we are all about shop local, buy local. I like to use the word support local, because you may not be buying things from local accountants, but you're going to support them because they are your neighbors. They are the ones who next summer, when softball and baseball and soccer and all those things actually get to happen, they're the ones that are going to sponsor those teams and are going to help our kids to have good quality of life in the community. They are, like I say, your neighbors. So we've actually being launched this week. You'll have to watch very closely for it, in partnership with the municipality of Port Hope and the Port Hope HBIA. We're actually launching a local support local website and marketing campaign, encouraging locals to remember that, yes, you can go online and you can order from Amazon, but you can go online now too, and you can order from the clothing store downtown, or from the farmer's market out in Garden Hill. There are lots of places that you can go to shop online.
I gotta say, I was amazed at how, and I know Burnham's is in Hamilton Township, but I was amazed at how they put their website together, and now you can just order online from Burnham's and get those tasty tea biscuits. But I mean, but it's great the way that businesses have done that, and I think it's really important that we're out there and supporting them, and it's great that you've got that initiative that's going to start. Now, the other thing people might be interested in right now too is Service Ontario. You've just opened the Service Ontario up again.
Yeah, so Service Ontario is kind of a weird duck in things. A lot of people don't necessarily understand that the Port Hope office of the Service Ontario is actually operated by the Chamber of Commerce. So we did close the office. It made the most sense from a business management perspective, and also for the health and safety of our staff and the residents of Port Hope, to encourage everybody to stay home, and we closed the offices. We have reopened. Right now we are running from 10 to 11 in the morning just for the dealers, because they are really the primary reason we opened. Now that they're open, they have to have somewhere where they can register the transfer of vehicles, that kind of stuff. We are also open 11 till 2 for general operations. But it's really important for people to remember that the expiry date on your stickers and your license plate and your health card and that kind of stuff, it is an indefinite expiry date right now. Anybody after March 1st, you are considered valid until the provincial government says you're not valid anymore, and this is the deadline date you have to be reinstated by.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because my stickers come due in July, so I'm just thinking, I've read that and heard that, and I couldn't quite figure out what that was all about. So right now you don't have to worry.
And we don't really know what that looks like yet. If it's going to be that, everybody in March has until the end of July, everybody in April till the end of August. We're hoping there's a bit of a stagger.
Whenever.
Yeah, especially when everybody's waiting outside and only 2 people can come in at a time, so there is, you have to expect to wait. We are practicing physical and social distancing. We are asking people to use hand sanitizer. We're encouraging the use of masks. It's the same as you're getting in all of the other businesses, but we also know that some people are bound by deadlines. They want to make sure that they stay on top of that kind of thing. There are some people from a financial perspective who they know that they've got the dollars and cents to do it at that point in time, so you can come and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if your tags are expiring in July like mine, I could come and pay you and get my new tags?
Yes, you could do that. We don't know what July is going to look like yet, if that's when they start to,
right.
With the reopening framework, we're not really quite sure where that will fit in. Like I said, the government, I'm sure, will make an announcement and people will hear it and start the car. They'll start
the car. But that's an important service that you provide to the community. You're also selling like fishing licenses and such there now?
Yeah, we've always done the fishing and hunting licenses, so people can come and you can do that online as well. But we do get a number of people, coming. Maybe not so many this year, given what's going on in the universe, but we do sell fishing and hunting licenses as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you, now your offices aren't open right now though, right?
No, the chamber office, I am operating from home. So anybody can reach me obviously by email. And it seems to have been working for the last 6 weeks.
The other good tool you have is your newsletter that you put out frequently. And I must say, I always enjoy receiving it because there's always so much in it, with lots of telling you what the chamber is doing, as well as telling you, you know, what other activities are happening in the community. So it's a really good tool, really good, very informative newsletter that you put out, Brenda. So I encourage people up here to try and sign up and get that.
Yeah, all you have to do actually is go to our website, and there's a spot, I think, almost on every page where you can submit your email. We call it our weekly update. It's a community-based newsletter, so it does talk about the things we're providing as a chamber, but it also gives our chamber members an opportunity to promote their activities and the things that they want to do. So yeah, anybody can sign up, and I appreciate that you enjoy it. I know that we put a lot of thought into making sure it's got some good detail.
So Brenda, thanks very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And congratulations, really. I really want to thank you for all you're doing for the local business in your community, because I know you're making a big difference for them, making a big impact.
Thank you, Lynda. And, you know, a special shout out to my board of directors who are all going to watch this, I'm sure. They are a solid group of 10 volunteers who are helping manage the workload and manage the things that are going on. So they'll continue to represent the businesses as business owners themselves.
Well, thanks again, Brenda. Take care. And thanks everybody for tuning in to All Around the Town.